ensayar rápido, entonces la pone el pie, lo ensayan rápido, entonces la pone el pie,
Welcome back. This is our second segment on April 14th, 2012. Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small. We're coming to you from Big Hat Books in Broad Ripple. It's on the north side of Indianapolis at 6510 Cornell Avenue. They have an excellent selection of books here. Liz has very good tastes in books. They also have space here to rent for special occasions. It's 6510 Cornell. If you're watching this from someplace other than Marion County, Indianapolis, Indiana, if you're on the International Space Station, for example, this is on the north side of Indianapolis. It's Broad Ripple. We have as guests today, usually co-host is Paul Ogden.
And Mark, if I may interrupt, one thing we might do is get contact information, a website, that sort of thing.
I was going to do that in just a second,
okay.
Paul.
Well,
thank you.
I know you sometimes forget things.
I appreciate that too. Who are you? Anyways, Paul Ogden is one of our guests today, as is Mark King and is Greg Bowes. They're all candidates for Marion Superior Court Judge in the upcoming primary election on May 5th. If you have not already done so, is it too late to register?
It is too late
to register and vote. But get out to vote, and you can find out where your polling place is by going online, and I have the telephone number too. I'll announce that in just a couple of minutes. But contact information for campaign. Greg.
Hey, thank you. I'm Greg Bowes. I'm a Democratic candidate for Marion Superior Court Judge, and you can find information about me at gregbowes.info. That's GREGBOWES.INFO.
Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark King. I'm a Democratic candidate for Judicial for Judge, and you can reach me at friends-to-elect-mark-a-king.com. One word.
My name is Paul Ogden. I'm a Republican candidate for Marion County Superior Court Judge. I have a website, Ogden, www, I probably don't need to say that anymore, Ogden for Judge with the number 4, but if you type in FOUR, I think it still works. So ogdenforjudge.com. I also have a political website, ogdenonpolitics.com.
Now, these gentlemen are running in the primary on May 5th. Paul's running
May 8th.
Is it May 8th?
Yep.
May 8th.
Why was it May 5th, the mini?
There you go.
I'm sorry. On May 5th, this show will be streaming to you live from the mini marathon course. So you'll be able to watch the mini marathon. Anyways, I apologize for the date of the primary. That is May 8th. And you gentlemen are not slated by your parties, is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
And we should explain what's slated.
That was my next. Paul, you're not a host on this edition of Civil Discourse Now.
I understand.
And therefore I'm holding you out of order. Any further breach of the rules will result in contempt. Paul, will you please explain? You've been around slating for a long time because you've worked a lot in the Republican Party.
Correct. I've been a precinct committeeman since 1986. Let me clarify. I was made a precinct committeeman in 1986. I'm not still a precinct committeeman. They actually removed me when I wouldn't agree to vote the right way. That's another story. But slating is an endorsement process. It's not a legal process. It's an endorsement process within the political parties. It's done in very few places in the United States, actually. People think it's common here in Indianapolis, but in most counties in Indiana, they don't have the endorsement process. And what happens is, and this is what it's supposed to be in theory, is that the party workers, those people that are out passing out literature, knocking on doors, getting people registered, etc., sit down in a convention before the election and decide who they want to support on primary election day. What has happened over the years is the people voting at these slating contests, which is sort of a slang term for endorsements, have increasingly become appointed positions. There's no limit on the ability of the county chairman, if there's a vacancy, which is very common, to appoint someone to fill that vacancy, often just to appear and go to the slating contest.
And let's be clear about something. Precinct committee positions. If a person is the precinct committee person for their precinct, that means they can run for that office, and that's only for the party. That's not a public office within the government.
But they do have certain statutory responsibilities, such as filling a vacancy. If a council position, for example, comes vacant, then a precinct committee person of the party, of the person who's leaving office, they all meet and vote on his or her replacement.
And the party politics, as practiced in Indianapolis, in Marion County, has markedly changed, especially over the last 40 years because of Unigov. It unified the government of Marion County into one entity, City of Indianapolis. So you have City County Building and City County Council. But it also had the effect of there being other changes as well, particularly at the precinct level. Is that accurate?
Well, I could speak. I'm not trying to monopolize the conversation, but I've actually studied the law in terms of, and it used to be by statute. Precinct committeemen were elected every 2 years. The county chairmen were elected every 2 years. The precinct committeemen were elected in the May primary. They would turn around and vote in a June convention for the county chairman. That was all by statute. John Sweezy, who was the Republican chairman at the time, wanted to get that changed. He successfully got the legislature to change the law, working through the Republican delegation of Marion County, so that precinct committeemen were put on 4-year cycles. Democrats, or the county chairman, were put on 4-year cycles. And they changed the timing of the election so that the election for the county chairman was actually like 2 years and 9 months after the election of the committeeman. Well, what you have is high turnover with regard to the precinct committeeman. So precinct committeeman, you have a lot of vacancies. So the county chairman, who used to be elected by elected precinct committeemen, now actually gets to pick his or her own voters to a great degree.
And let me make an observation, and then Greg and Mark, please jump into this. There's a lack of involvement at the precinct level, in part because of this kind of convoluted party structure. People don't know that the party exists like that, and a lot of people don't get involved in the party. And so a lot of people don't realize that their precinct committee person can do certain things and can have an effect on their government in that way.
The next level up, you have precinct committeemen. The next level up are ward chairman. Ward chairman, I can't speak for the Democrats, but in the Republican slating contests, the ward chairman can also vote. Those are always direct appointees of the county chairman. Okay. So probably over half the people now are appointees of the county chairman.
Greg, did you try to get slated in Marion County?
I did not seek the slating endorsement in 2012 or in 2010 when I ran for county prosecutor. One thing that was interesting in 2010, I looked at the number of people in the Democratic Party who had been elected and at the time of the slating convention were still active, and compared that to the number of possible positions there would be. And it was, a horrendously small minority of elected precinct committee persons. So what that meant was the county chairman, by the appointment authority, had as much as 3/4 of the numbers under his control because he would get to appoint. And that was because the numbers were that big because in the Democratic Party, you elect a precinct committee person. That precinct committee person, by statute and by party rule and in coordination with the county chair, is allowed to appoint a vice precinct committee person. And there were rules that said the statute still says if you're going to be elected, you have to live in that precinct. But the party rules allow the vice committee person or any appointee to fill a vacancy. They don't have to be a resident of that precinct. And so it was really, the effect of it was that there's this this big scramble right before the slating convention for people to go ask the county chairman, hey, can you appoint my friend to be a precinct committee person? And it happens just before the party rules cut off a deadline, to determine who would be eligible to vote in the slating convention. So there's this big scramble 30 days before the convention. Everybody's coming up trying to put their friends in, and the county chair is in complete control of that. And the county chair, of course, probably has an effort to orchestrate that and make sure it's people friendly to the wishes of the county chair. So in light of all of that, in light of the fact that I would not be facing people who could effectively make an independent choice about who they would recommend as the nominee for their party, I didn't think it would be a fair process, and I decided to go around it and take my case directly to the voters in the primary election.
A no would have been sufficient, but I appreciate the descriptive answer. Mark, did it be slated?
No, I did not.
Are you aware of there being any kind of fee for slating?
Yes, it was my understanding there was a horrendous amount of money, both from the Republicans and the Democrats, that were asked by judicial candidates and other candidates as well to give to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party in order to have the opportunity to be slated, and then a promise that you would not go against the wishes of the party if you were not slated.
So wishes of he said party, and that's one thing that I have a problem with. The party is not the party bosses to me. The party to me is the electorate who's going to be meeting in May to vote. And I noticed some of the yard signs out there on my side say endorsed by the party. Well, the endorsement takes place on May 8th. It doesn't take place at a slating convention.
There's a little bit of nuance on that issue, and I appreciate what you're saying. Really, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party are those who come and voice their opinion in primary election. But with regard to the slating agreement, where you pay your money in, that gives you the opportunity to be voted on in a convention. In that agreement, it says that if you are not chosen to be the endorsed candidate, that you will withdraw. And so what I'm getting at is, in theory, you are honoring the wishes of the party as evidenced by the vote at the convention. So it's somewhere in between everybody in the primary election and this one county chairman who has the appointment authority. That particular agreement to withdraw from the election if you're not endorsed, that really is based on the vote of those people who showed up at the convention, which would include some elected precinct committee persons and a whole bunch of appointed.
So none of you is slated, is that correct?
That's correct.
None of us here went to slating convention.
We didn't ask for it.
We didn't ask it. There is one on the Republican side, Judge Carol Orbison, who I should say
she's an
incumbent, who did go to the slating convention, was unsuccessful. She paid her $12,000 slating fee and was unsuccessful, but she's running the primary.
Okay, we're talking about methods of selection of judges. This is Civil Discourse Now. We'll be back in